Okay, what is up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please drop a like. It does really help out. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. And of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. You can check out the link to the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free, in the description below and also at the top of the chat. You can join discussions, chat with other traders, share ideas there. I share ideas there as well. Look and discuss, see what other people are looking to trade. And of course, you can find a lot more information about Elevating Traders there as well. So if you are interested, make sure you check it out. Like I said, completely free to join. Link in the description and also at the top of the chat. As always, we'll go through USD side of the things first. Take a look at the dollar, take a look at USD majors. We'll go through gold, silver, and some indices as well. If there are any particular requests or timeframes that you do want me to take a look at, feel free to let me know in the chat and we'll get through it. What is up, Season? Great to welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Kazim, welcome to the stream. I'm doing good. Hope you're well. Hope everyone had a good weekend and is ready for the trading week. So, yeah, it was a very eventful week last week. We had a lot of movement across the board, especially with USD, especially with CAD, some CHF pairs as well. So we had a lot of movement. And of course, USD, this is the aftermath, a really big push to the downside, and things are looking pretty bearish as a whole. Of course, we're pretty stretched to the downside, so naturally you're going to expect a bit of a pullback at some point in time. But in terms of the longer term move, I'm still expecting a lot more downside here for the DXY for USD. I'm looking for us to come back into this level of support, basically, which is around the 101 area, 100, if you want to call it, the big psychological level, could be attracted towards that. But generally speaking, this area where we've seen numerous tests, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looking for us to get there eventually. This is the weekly chart. So again, it might take us a little bit of a while. We could end up doing it in a couple of weeks. It'll be up to the dollar. But first things first, we do want to see a bit of a relief, a bit of retracement before we do continue on our bearish journey. So as I drop to the 4-hour chart, you see things are looking very, very bearish. I have pointed out a couple of areas which I do like the possibility of a retest of. So I like the support up here. I also like the support all the way up here. I'm not too sure we'll see a pullback that big, but you never know. I'll keep an eye on it. And I like some brief resistance here on the left. Now, I usually wouldn't focus on such a brief area of resistance because it's not that significant. But because there's so much momentum in the market, a pullback to that kind of degree is probably a likely idea of what we'll probably see because there's so much momentum. If the market does have a bit of a breather, then we could be looking at 105.5. That would be a really nice pullback. If I was to bring up the fib from the high to the low, you can see that lines up with the 50. So that's really the areas I want to be working in, 0.5, 0.618, which would be those areas up there. So 105.5 and 106.250. But because there's so much momentum, we might only see something like this to 104.5 and a continuation. But in terms of direction, very bearish. So I know exactly what I'm looking for. And targets are pretty likely to happen as well, back down at 101, 100. So USD, very weak. That's really the only kind of situation I'm looking to trade this week. Of course, there might be some opportunities to catch a bit of a relief to the upside and looking to buy the dip and then take advantage of dollar retracing, which we are expecting it to retrace. So I can understand people looking to long USD based on that kind of idea. But because I have the expectation that the bearish move is going to be the bigger move, therefore I'm just going to spend most of my time focusing on that and kind of not really focusing on the longs either. And especially if you're looking to long, I would make sure I'm on the lower time frames as well for that. Euro USD, same situation as well. Again, very, very overextended. You're probably expecting a bit of a pullback at some point. So again, I understand people looking to short, also coming back into a huge area of supply as well. You can see we had a really big move. I think this is from the presidential election here, that momentum. So it was a really big push, and we're there again for the first time since moving away from that level. So again, could see a bit of a reaction. Market's a bit stretched as well with these two massive bullish days there. So you probably would be right to say that Euro is likely to see a bit of a move to the downside. However, I'm expecting the bigger move to still be to the upside for Euro. Just like how we're looking at the USD to get back to that really big level of support. I'm looking for euro to make the same move in the opposite direction back into resistance, which is 1.105, 1.11, we'll call it. So I still do have some targets to the upside for euro that I'm expecting price to eventually get. So again, because I see that as the bigger move, I'm looking for correction and then more upside. And that's the opportunity I'm looking to take here if I can get it. So dropping to the daily chart, trying to eye up some levels. Again, I really like the resistance over here, but again, I'm not too sure we'll see a pullback that far. The info was to whip out the fib from the low to the high of that bullish move. It's more or less coming to the 0.786. Not too sure we'll see a pullback that deep for euro. So I'm looking at areas on the left. This area here kind of corresponds to the dollar level I just mentioned, 1.076. If we have a relatively small pullback, that could be the area that continues us to the upside. If you have a slightly deeper pullback, then I do like this area here. Some prior support on the left was resistance briefly as well. And I'm pretty sure it lines up to 0.618. Nope, with the 50. So again, that would be a nice level to pull back into as well. Again, going to see a pretty big pullback for that to happen. We're looking at, in terms of pips from the high, about a 260 pip drop there. So it's a pretty big retracement, which is why, again, I'm also considering these areas because euro is just so bullish. We might not see that bigger pullback in this scenario. But in terms of direction, very, very clear to me which way I'm expecting price to go. Of course, nothing's guaranteed, but we just got a good chance of seeing more upside and eventually coming back into 1.105, 1.11. So that's very much what I'm looking at for euro. Again, I understand people who are looking to short euro in terms of expecting that retracement. But because the bigger move to me looks like it's most likely to the upside, that's the direction I want to be trading in. But of course, I need a bit of a pullback beforehand. In terms of pound USD, kind of the same situation as euro. Big push to the upside. This is the daily chart. Pound USD has been pretty flat in general, being pretty sideways. But we do have a slight uptrend. We've got a high over there. We've got a higher low. We've got a higher high, possibly another higher low. So far, it is a higher low in comparison to the previous low. Potentially, are we going to put another higher high in? That could be the case. We've already seen a bit of a reversal now. Big push to the downside, big push back up. So kind of got this V-shaped reversal coming into play. And it has left behind some really nice levels on the 4 hour for some buys. You can see some prior resistance over here on the left. Will be turned support. There's some nice high lows coming together with this trend line as well. So creating a really nice area of confluence should pound USD be kind enough to pull back for us. And that's really the area I want to operate in. We've completely broken structure to our left now. So, forgetting about that bearish trend that we once had and now focusing on this bullish trend here, looking for pullbacks and more upside. And like I said, if the bigger move is going to take us back to highs, we could be seeing a push all the way back to 1.34 for pound. Of course, not going to look to trade that in one go, but it's nice to know that, okay, that's potentially a direction we could be heading towards or to get to. So it's nice to take buys in that direction and possibly leave some positions to continue to see if you can really maximize your gains. But for now, that is really the idea I have for pound. Just looking for the next high low. And we've got some nice confidence there for a trade. In terms of dollar CAD, I'm still short for this one from last week. This one's been a bit all over the place. We had NFP and some CAD news last Friday, which caused a bit of upside, which went against me, but overall hasn't really done anything in terms of changing my bias. I'm still looking for the same move as I was for the past few weeks, to be honest. I only just got the entry last week. But again, the idea is big impulse to the downside after coming into a really, really big level on the weekly chart. So if I expand to the weekly, you can see where we're trading. Massive resistance once, twice over there, and a third time over there. So I'm expecting a bit of relief there for dollar CAD, possibly to some areas down here. In terms of the trade, however, I'm just going to look to keep it pretty simple, back down to the low. So I looked for a pullback, came back into the high, really nice rejection, stops above the high, targets back into the price swing low. And again, with my bearish bias in USD, which we just went through, if I do expect the dollar to drop all the way to 101, then there's a good chance that dollar CAD could probably see a similar move. Of course, CAD is going to have its part to play, and so far has been very, very weak as well. I'm kind of hoping a bit of strength comes in, even if it's just a bit of a breather for dollar CAD, because I do think it is expected. But we'll see how that trade goes. But still very bearish on. I did say if you're looking for entries for dollar CAD, you're probably waiting for price to push back into resistance again. Maybe perhaps another double top, and then we push down. Entries in this area might be a little bit difficult because it's very choppy. You're going to see a lot of wicks. Your stop loss probably won't be in the safest place. If you get it above the high there, it's relatively safer, and you maximize your risk reward a little bit better as well. And in terms of Aussie dollar, so again, another one which I am looking for some upside as well. Similar to dollar CAD, if I go to the weekly chart, we've come from a massive level of weekly support and naturally expecting a bit of a bounce to the upside. The only thing with Aussie dollar has been a very, very awkward one. We're still kind of respecting support pretty well, but there is some resistance above us, which price has struggled to break through. So I did mention on my weekly analysis, if you managed to catch that this weekend, that in terms of an opportunity, I want to see price go and break the highs here on the left. So if you can go and take out the highs there, that would be great. Create some bullish structure, and then some pullbacks will look good. Because at the moment, Aussie dollar is kind of just a ranging market. It's at support, but it's kind of just all over the place. There's no kind of consistency with the market structure. So if we can start to create some higher highs and higher lows, you've got a low down there, high, higher low, and then another higher high, then we can look for some pullbacks, retest these areas, perhaps maybe retest that daily level or retest the high there, whatever kind of makes sense at the time. It depends on the breakout, how big of a breakout we see, in terms of which level makes the most sense to buy from. But essentially, that's what I'm looking for Aussie dollar, because right now we're in the middle of nowhere, so I don't really see any kind of suitable entries or levels to be buying from. I'm not really looking to short Aussie dollar, just looking to long, but this break of structure will be pivotal. Then I can start to look for some pullbacks. And the USD in a similar boat as well. In fact, if we go to the weekly chart for this one, again, you can see where we're trading. Massive, massive support over here. Bigger reaction not too long ago. And now there again. Expecting a bit more upside in terms of a reaction. With USD, if I drop to the 4 hour, you can see it being incredibly flat. So again, pretty much consolidation. But should we break structure to the upside like so, doesn't necessarily have to be that big, but at least a confident break of structure above the highs here. Well, then that gives us a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So some bullish structure to work with, and hence some pullbacks will look good. Perhaps the retest of the high there, like so. But we'll see how everything does develop as we do get that break of structure. But again, it's just not really an area which we want to be buying, especially coming into resistance. I'd rather we break through and look for some pullbacks afterwards. But that is my idea right now with New Zealand dollar and Aussie dollar. In terms of gold, kind of just more sideways, hasn't it? Yeah, it hasn't really gone anywhere. So I did say on the lower time frames, it might be a nice idea should we get a clean breakout. Whether up or down, I think there's some nice opportunities for gold. If gold is going to be bullish and just continue momentum that we've been seeing for the past kind of year, to be honest, then yeah, if price breaks through the high here at 29.25, then there's a pretty high chance that we're going to push back to the highs there. So some minor pullbacks on perhaps the 15-minute chart will probably look really good. A retest of that area possibly, and the continuation back to the high will look like a good opportunity. Likewise, if the market is putting in a high and we're turning around, then a break to the downside will also look pretty good. Some pullbacks there and perhaps a nice correction. And we get that continuation there as well. And a retest of the low would make sense. But either which way, a confident breakout will give us some good information in terms of where the next move will happen. For gold, if you see a strong break to the downside, well, then we're likely to push into this level. If we see a strong break to the upside, well, then we're likely to push into the high. So once we get that breakout, we can be a little bit more confident as to what the next move is for gold. Right now, as we fluctuate here and there, unless you look and take advantage of the range, I'm not really seeing a clear-cut trade there for gold just yet. In terms of the swing bias, I'm still looking to buy it, but I want to see a bigger correction. I've talked about the high over there. Haven't quite come there yet. So not really interested in terms of that bigger swing just yet. And then in terms of silver, again, still in a bit of an awkward situation. We've got a massive level on the daily chart, which price is kind of just back and forth with. Not too sure if it's breaking through or if it's holding. It's just not clear cut right now. So I know what I'm looking to do. If price can break above the resistance and hold above that, well, then my target's are back at the highs here, and I'm expecting to find some pullback somewhere and ride that as an awful drawing. Let's do that again. So if we can get a break to the upside, in fact, let me just use this tool. There we go. So if we can get some pullbacks, perhaps a retest somewhere, that would be great, and catch a long back to the highs. If, however, price starts to respect the level and reject it well, then there might be some nice shorts to take back into the low here, maybe further as well. This is a really big level. The market's paid a lot of attention to this. So as long as we kind of are back and forth there, I'm not too sure what price is going to do, whether it's going to break or hold. But once we see a strong break, whether it's a big rejection or a break above the level, then I will have some clarity in terms of the direction for silver and find some opportunities for that pair. So still waiting for a bit more information. Not too sure what we're doing. 4-hour chart is a bit all over the place as well. To be honest, it does look like price perhaps is reversing. This looks like a V shape, kind of what gold is doing. And perhaps this might be a big correction for us to break to the upside, which would be great. And then I'll be looking for the next pullback after that. And then that will be my buy opportunity. So that's kind of what I'm thinking gold, silver will do. But yeah, I'll wait for it to do it first, and then I'll start talking about some opportunities. And yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with USD. Generally still very, very bearish bias. So if that is the case, that should help silver and gold to the upside as well. Not guaranteed, but it should help gold and silver being bullish if USD is going to continue being weak. And of course, with that weak bias as well, I'm pretty much looking to short short dollar against pretty much all other currencies, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not looking to long dollar at all. However, I do expect some retracement. So that means we might be seeing a bit of dollar strength, but I just expect it to be temporary as we retrace before continuing. So extremely bearish move last week. I do expect to see some upside, but like I said, just for retracement. Anyway, what is up, people? Welcome to the stream, Lighten. Hope you're doing good. Welcome. What is up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Dark Sean, as always, welcome to the stream. JG starts to look bearish this morning. Looking to find an entry. Okay, we'll have a look, see at that. Afonso, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Have trading NZUSD entry 057. Okay. Looks like a second move up, so should be stronger. Okay. So it looks like you're buying NZUSD. Well, I'm pretty bullish on NZUSD as well. I'm expecting further upside, but we'll take a look at that position in a second. Ahmed, check pound CAD. Okay, I'll take a look at pound CAD. I actually do like pound CAD for some pullbacks. To be honest, if pound CAD can pull back, I do like the buys there. There's a big daily level there. That looks good for a long. But first, I'll go through pound yen. Of course, any other requests, let me know. And of course, if there's a particular time frame you want me to take a look at, let me know as well. But for GJ, yeah, the yen pairs have been a little bit mixed, haven't they? Haven't really been giving us kind of momentum in a particular direction. It's been back and forth. I'm still overall short bias, and then I still do like the yen pairs in general, but they've been pretty flat. USD is kind of where all the momentum has been at, to be honest. But I do think yen will catch up, in maybe a couple of weeks. We could be seeing some big moves for the yen pairs as well. But we'll wait and see. Anyway, in terms of pound yen, it's been a bit flat here. So drop to the 4-hour chart. Yeah, I mean, from a 4-hour perspective, I would stay away, to be honest. I'm not really seeing much from an opportunity here on the 4-hour chart. But let me drop to the old 5-minute time frame. So I remember last week I was talking about some buys down here. I said if the market can push lower to around 189, there might be a nice little long there as we kind of continue this trend-ish. We've got a low there, another higher low. That could be a nice place for another higher low. Overall, the market's really found support here. We've tried to break through multiple times, but it's failed. And since then, we've actually been taking out some highs as well. So I'm kind of looking for us to get another bounce. Not necessarily looking for a move like that back to highs, although that could be the case. I think just keeping things simple, just buying in areas where we're expecting a bit of a reaction. And in that case, I would expect a bit of a reaction here. You can see we had a really nice consolidation. A lot of momentum came to the upside. We haven't since came back to retest that area. And yeah, there's a possibility we could form a higher low. I can see the shorts you're talking about, though, really strong move to the downside. Perhaps price could be coming back to retest this consolidation for a short. Let me know if that's kind of more or less the area looking to work in, Dark Sean, because that would make some sense there. Really nice move this morning. and a retest of that kind of range would be a nice area. So anywhere between 190.4 and kind of 190.8 would be in like a nice area to be looking to short from. And yeah, we could actually see that move back into that low, and perhaps some buys later on could look good. Of course, if we see suitable rejection, I wouldn't recommend just buying straight away or selling straight away either. You need to see price get there, show actual signs of respecting wicks, engulfing candles, shift in momentum. That's really what you want to see. And then you can find some entries off the back of that. But there's some nice areas in the 5-minute chart. And again, you have to trade it for what it is. It's a very choppy back and forth market. You're not necessarily looking for trend continuations here. It's more about kind of selling in the right areas and buying in the right areas. I would say that's a nice place to sell from and a nice place to buy from. So that's kind of where I would be with pound yen on the 5-minute chart. However, the 4 hour is all over the shop, so I'll stay away from that one. Okay, so I will take a look at NZD/USD, then we'll go through pound CAD. No problem. Soltani, what is up? Welcome. Hope you're well. Ivan, good morning. Hope you're doing good. Opinion Euro Swiss by 0.963. Okay, I'll take a look at that as well. Okay, so let me go through this NZD/USD position for Alfonso. So yeah, as I said, I like the buys as well. I haven't really found a solid level of like resistance or a level to work with. So with NZD/USD, I'm kind of waiting for price to create a new high first and then find some pullbacks. So that's the opportunity I'm interested in. But I do expect us to break to the upside. As I've been saying, very bearish in USD. So pretty much all these USD pairs, I'm expecting the opposing currency to be stronger than USD. So that's the direction I'm looking to trade in. And then the USD, as we're coming back from a really big level on the weekly chart, can even extend to the left here as well. We're coming to an area where prices reversed. Really, two kind of pivotal occasions. I think this was COVID. Yeah, COVID. And this was the Russia-Ukraine war at peak times during that time. We had a really big sell and price reversed to the upside as well. So these are very, very pivotal moments for NZD/USD, and you can kind of see the corresponding in other USD pairs as well. And we'll come back into a big level of support there as well. So even if the bigger move is to the downside for NZD/USD, which could be the case, I do expect to see naturally a bit of a retracement, which looks like we're going through at the moment. I like this level here as well as possible place to target there too. Big support. On the daily chart, could we turn resistance there as well? So yeah, the only reason why I haven't really been looking to get involved is because I haven't really seen a clear-cut level. I mean, I suppose looks like price is kind of respecting some support there on the left there, more minor area, but it looks to be prices holding that, and perhaps we might see a continuation from that. Bit of like a weird inverse head and shoulder pattern, if you will, and that kind of being the neckline, but it does look like we're slowly pushing to the upside. And what I like about NZD/USD as well is that we had a big impulse down, we had a big impulse back up. So this was a big V-shaped pattern, which I talk about a lot of the time. These patterns normally do resemble more upside. So it's a nice sign that says, okay, we tried to push down, but we completely failed. So expecting upside continuation. So yeah, in terms of NZD/USD, I like the upside. You on entry 0.57, 57269. 57269. So that's around there-ish. Stop loss 56902. Okay, so that's just below the low there. And targets 5822. So that's around there-ish. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Of course, you do have that kind of area to contend with, but like I said, that V-shaped pattern does have a pretty good kind of success rate of playing out. So I would expect us to at least attempt to break through. Of course, we'll see if we do that or not. But I like the stop loss placements underneath a nice low, and entries in a pretty safe place as well. It's just that one resistance level could be a bit awkward, but should we break through that, I'll be expecting us to go and hit that day level above us there. So I'll be expecting your take profit to be hit as well. But yeah, I do agree with that trade. I do like it. Pound CAD. So yeah, pound CAD, I do like the breakout we've had recently. Really big breakout on the daily chart, and price has been absolutely flying. Since then, though, it has left behind a solid level of resistance, which Could be turned as support, as you can see on the daily chart. Resistance once, twice, a third time, fourth there, fifth there, and finally got the breakout. So I'm kind of looking to see if pound CAD can come back, retest that, and then find some buys. If we go to the weekly chart as well, we've actually closed above a pretty significant level of resistance. If I map the wick high and drag that across, it's pretty far away, but if I drag that across, you can see you've actually closed above that area. Really significant close last week. So it's technically breaking through that resistance. I wouldn't say we're in a breakout, as in expecting pound CAD just to keep flying, because we are still quite stretched right now, although we could. I do think a retracement is still likely, but like I said, it has left behind a really nice level on the daily chart, which is some prior resistance there, which hopefully will be turned support. If you can see some solid rejection from, I think that'd be a great place to find some entries and hopefully swing it possibly back into the next high and maybe further as well. It really depends how everything does situate, but that would be a nice area for a long. Of course, pound CAD is still very bullish right now. I think pound's a little bit strong, but CAD's still a little bit weak as well. Who knows? Maybe we just keep pushing. But yeah, if we get a pullback, I would definitely be looking to long pound CAD from 1.814. Okay, we'll go through Euro Swiss. Okay, you took it on the new 4-hour candle. Okay, nice. Yeah, I like it, Alfonso. It looks good. I'm pretty bearish in USD, expecting more upside for USD. Just like I said, that minor resistance level above you might be a bit awkward, but if price can clear that, then I think your TP is looking good. Okay, so we'll go through Euro Swiss next. Cease integrated, what's your insights on the XY buy now? Still suicidal to buy with strong downside and not much resistance. Okay, good. It's a good point. Okay, I'll go through Euro Swiss and then I'll take a look. Paul, yes, I'll take a look at pound CHF for you, no problem. Yeah, yeah, understood. 103. Okay, I'll take a look. Cease integrated. Let me just go through Euro Swiss. So, Ivan, what's your opinion? Your CHF buys at 963. So, whereabouts is that? 0.963. Where am I going? 963. Okay, pretty much the high. So buys 2963. Okay, understood. Yeah, I don't think it's it's a nice, you're coming off a nice level. The thing with Euro CHF, it's just a very awkward pair because it looks like prices respect the low. It looks like prices found support and we're turning around. And of course, we have seen a really, really impulsive move to the upside, which has broke through a couple levels to the left, which is this level here and this level here as well. So essentially what you're looking at is price respecting this support, respecting resistance, turn support, and you're looking for us to hold that and continue back to the high, because essentially what you're saying is that we had a big impulse here. You're looking at this as the retracement, and now you're expecting another push back to the high, which again makes perfect sense. The only thing you want to see is price remain above this level. Of course, the past 4-hour candle actually did break below, so that was a bit of a red sign, a red flag. Of course, this 4-hour candle looks like it's trying to close back above. Of course, it hasn't closed yet. So I wouldn't take that that bullish candle into consideration just yet until it does close, because that's when we get the full information of that candle. For all we know, by the time that candle does close, it could pull back or leave another wick, and we could be trading below that level. So the last candle did close below. So because of that, we've technically broken it. So for us to hold this support, we need to break back above, and possibly maybe that candle could give that to us. So if you could get a strong close like this, I think that would be a nice entry in the 4-hour chart. Starts below the low, and yeah, targets back at the high where we came from. I think it looks like a really nice trade. Essentially, what you're saying is that momentum is still likely to continue, and now that we're respecting a key area of resistance and support, there's a likelihood we could now continue that move. And judging the daily chart, kind of respecting major support as well, it does look like a new trend potentially is forming here for Euro CHF. So I like the idea. But the candle closure on that 4-hour candle is very, very important. If we do pull back and don't close above strongly, I wouldn't be looking to buy. Certainly, if we do close bearish, then we might actually see price continue to fall. But if we can hold this as support, then you could be looking at a nice trade setup. Yeah, and that candle closes in 2 hours and 24 minutes. Okay, so let's go take a look at the dollar, then I'll go through pound CHF. Good morning, Blessing. Euro JPY. Yes, we'll take a look at that for you, no problem. So DXY looking to long. So of course, I mentioned before with the dollar, I'm very, very bearish on this one. However, I understand people looking to long it because of course the market's had such a big bearish move, and it's definitely due a bit of a correction. 100%, I agree with that. It's just that's not the move I'll be focused on because, of course, when you're trading, there's always going to be buyers and sellers. You have to decide which one are you? Are you going to be a buyer or you're a seller? I've already decided I'm looking to be a seller in this market. So I'm waiting for price to come to an area which I want to sell from. And then, hey, presto, I've got a nice trade to follow. If you're a buyer, then of course I understand that price is very stretched and now you're looking to buy. And is it coming to an area which buys make sense? I would say yes. Definitely as we approach the low here, which is what 103.44, I would say that's a nice low to be looking for a bit of a bounce from. And at the moment, the market is starting to stall there. So I would say as we approach that low, that is a logical area for a buy. Of course, you have to kind of weigh things in your favor in terms of momentum and how price is looking. It's looking extremely bearish, so I would wait for a really strong rejection. So if you can get a nice, like exaggerated wick to the downside, piercing through, flush out some earlier traders who probably already got into the trade, and then we can use that to our advantage. And I think that could be a nice buy there for the DXY. Of course, it's still a pretty aggressive trade, but again, just because a trade is aggressive doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad trade. It's just the context of the trade, given the fact that we've seen such a big bearish move recently. But the likeliness of dollar is to pull back. I would definitely agree with that. We are likely to pull back. The market's pretty stretched. Of course, we could keep falling, but I do expect us to pull back. So yeah, I think it's a nice buy around 103.4, kind of coming back into that low. I would wait for some rejection, some strong wicks and a strong shift in momentum to really tell me, okay, the buyers are stepping back in. I don't want to be jumping in without much confirmation. So I would wait for that. But yeah, we're in a nice area for some upside for the dollar. So yeah, it will feel like an aggressive trade because it is. You're buying against all of that momentum. Um, and yeah, it is an aggressive trade, but doesn't mean that it's a bad trade as well. Okay, so I'll go through pound seat chef next, and then we'll take a look at euro yen. No problem, Ivan. Happy to help. Happy to help. So pound seat chef. Let me know what you're looking at as well, Paul. So pound seat chef. The way I see pound seat chef is we've had a really big range in the market. So we've got highs over there. We've got support down here. And essentially, we've just been ranging between the two levels. Recently, we had a really big move to the upside and it looked like price was breaking out of the range. However, it looks like we've come straight back down. I'd probably wait for a few more bearish days to really consider that as a fake out because at the moment we're kind of still trading above the level. We haven't really closed back underneath, confidently. So I would wait to see if we can get bearish kind of looks like this kind of, and that would be a nice indication that okay, we probably are now just going to see a continuation to the downside. But so far, it looks to be like a big fake out there potentially. So what I'm looking at for pound CHF is a bit more downside and then something like this. Because essentially all we're doing is looking to take advantage of the range. If the market is going to stay within the range, and that is a fake out, well, now you know that price has kind of manipulated a lot of players to the upside. A lot of people would be buying into that move. Any previous stop losses above the high would have been liquidated. So now you know that price has kind of done that job. Now perhaps we could see some follow through in the opposite direction. So if we can come back within the range, some retests will look good, and then a swing back to the low. If price is going to be breaking through, then I'd wait for a much more confident break and perhaps a retest to buy, and perhaps we're coming back to some areas up there. So for pound CHF for now, I would kind of be looking at that as a fake out. Like I said, I would want a bit more downside to really confirm that. But if we were to get that, then some pullbacks, some retests will look good, and swing it back into the low. Because again, we're essentially ranging market. We've manipulated the highs. Now perhaps we're going to see a full swing back down to the low of the range. And that's really the idea I'll be looking at. Yeah, and I'm still waiting for us to eventually break out of this, but it doesn't look like we've got that just yet. So it's a bit of an awkward one there for pound CHF. So many wicks as well, which is always a bit awkward, especially in the lower time frames. But for now, if we can see a continuation, then some shorts afterwards, I think will be a nice trade. Afonso, GU doesn't break the 1.2950, looking to short it. Already tempted this morning. I'm still bullish. Okay. Good idea. We'll be around 1.278. Okay, I'll take a look at that GU idea as well. Now I'll go through some of the yen pairs as well. I'll start with euro yen, of course, and we'll go through a bunch of them. I like dollar yen shorts as well. Just wanted for confirmation if price had broken confidently or if it was a fake out. Okay, yeah. Again, when a good kind of tip to note in terms of breakouts, you want to look for the breakout to be as clear as possible. So in terms of you don't really want to have any doubts of the breakout, because in trading there's going to be times where you see a breakout and it's very, very clear, and even like a 10-year-old kid could spot that breakout. It's clearly broken through a level. And those are the type of breakouts you want to be looking to follow, because those are the type of breakouts which are clear, confident. So if price was to pull back and maybe retest, you got a good chance of seeing a successful retest. The breakouts which are kind of like, has the price really broken out like this situation here? Those are the ones you want to avoid, because there's a lot of question marks here. Trying to get a good stop loss placement, trying to get a good entry here is always going to be very, very difficult, and the chances are you're going to be stopped out a few times here. So you kind of want to avoid those trades. A big part of trading is just not taking bad trades, really. So yeah, a big tip when you're looking for breakouts: look for the clear, obvious ones and follow those. Sometimes you'll see a bit weird ones like this. They're not really worth your time. No problem, Paul. Okay, we'll go through your yen for blessing, and then we'll go through a bunch of other yen pairs as well. What's up, Yusuf? Welcome to the stream. I had a wonderful weekend. Thank you. I did have a good weekend. Hope you did as well. Athletic, what is up? Could you go over how to use multiple time frames? Good question. Yeah, I'll go through some. In fact, I'll go through some of the yen pairs because there's some good examples about using multiple time frames. So yeah, I will go over that. Okay, Dollar K, could use a quick peek recap after the rest of the pairs. Okay, we'll take a look at that, Lighten. Okay, let's go for Euro Yen, and I'll go through a bunch of yen pairs whilst we're at it. So yeah, with Euro Yen, I like this one to the downside as well. This one was the bonus pair on the weekly analysis on the weekend. I'm essentially looking for another lower high here because at the moment, price has rejected really powerful daily support. So even though I've been looking for price to break through this level, and I've had a very bearish expectation for Euro Yen for a while now, I'm still looking at this massive head and shoulder on the weekly chart. I'm expecting price to break to the downside, but I can't be looking to short directly into support because that's just a big no-no. So as price has rejected that support and now pulling away, now I can be looking for that next lower high. We've had one over there, kind of a second big one over there, but we've got some minor highs there as well. And now we're looking for price to repeat that and perhaps give me another swing to the downside back into support. So that's really the trade idea I'm looking at for Euro Yen. Since we've had this really big push to the upside away from support, kind of looking for a little bit more upside first, and then hopefully some shorts potentially later this week. And that will be the trade idea I'm looking to get involved at. So keeping a close eye on Euro Yen. I don't think it's too far away from entries. 162 is kind of the area I'm looking for it to happen at. And then, yeah, if things go well, I can be swinging it right back down to support and maybe looking to hold some positions to run through that level if things look really, really good. But for now, that is definitely the idea I have with euro yen. So waiting for a bit of a pullback there. Yeah, that's kind of the only opportunity I see. I suppose on the lower time frames, there might be a shorter term buy from this area here, because I do like the big impulse we had last week, and this kind of is looking like a correction, a bit of a bull flag. So perhaps there might be some nice buys to actually take it to the upside in the first place. But for myself, I'm just more fixated on the shorts there. So that's really what I'll be focusing on for now. So yeah, very, very bearish in euro yen still. We've pulled away from support. So now we're coming back into some bearish territory, looking for a lower high. So that's really what I'm after. So yeah, still very bearish on euro yen. In terms of dollar yen, I'm very bearish on as well. I'll use this one to kind of go through multi-time frame analysis, because again, the idea of multi-time frame analysis, you can use multi-time frame analysis in so many different ways. There's so many different ways to trade, and therefore so many different ways to use multi-time frame analysis. The key thing with multi-time frame analysis is that it kind of builds a picture and builds an idea of what the market is likely to do next, because you can look at one time frame and trade successfully off that one time frame alone. But that one time frame gives you a snippet of everything in context that one time frame. If you expand that and look at, say, 5 time frames, well, then it gives you 5 times the information for that one pair, which can help you filter out some bad trades, take more of the good trades, and maybe position yourself a little bit better in the market. So the thing is with multi-time frame analysis, because you can use it in so many different ways, the thing is you want to find out one way how to use it and get good at doing that, and then potentially you can add some more ways in the future. There's so many ways to do it. A big way of using multi-time frame analysis, in my opinion, well, 2 big ways, is trend analysis. So where's the higher time frame trend going? If I know that, okay, the daily chart is heading to the upside and I'm looking to trade in like the hourly, well, then I can use that daily trend as a filter for the hourly time frame and only just look for buys on the hourly chart to stay in tune with that higher time frame trend. So instead of looking try and find counter trends on the hourly chart and look for sells, I can just stay looking for buys if the trend to the upside is clear on the daily chart. So I can use that as a filter. That's one way of doing it. And of course, you combine that not necessarily just daily, but let's say the monthly chart is up, the weekly chart is up, the daily chart is up. Well, then you've got a good chance of finding some nice buys in the lower time frames. And that's probably a position where you don't really want to go against that trend. So not just one time frame, but you got multiple all pointing up. Another way to use it is support resistance as well, looking at the major levels of rejection in the market, major areas where we've turned around. And you can use that to your advantage, because if you know, okay, we're coming into a big weekly level of resistance or a big weekly level of support, then you know that we were to reject that, we could see a pretty big move away. So let's say if price was to come back into this area here, and we know that this is previously respected the resistance pretty well, well, there's a good chance we could use it resistance again. We did it once, twice over there, briefly as support there as well. Perhaps we now could use that as resistance. So if you know that, okay, in this area is weekly resistance, when you drop to your 4 hour, your hourly chart, you know that predominantly you're looking for sells here because you expect the market to turn around. So let's say if you look for your, let's say you look for break of structures and a retest of a low. So let's say you drop to like an hourly time frame, price is pushing into that area. Now you're seeing a break of structure. Now you're seeing a lower high. So you're taking this kind of pattern here and shorting on the lower high, but you're not taking it just anyway. You're taking it based off higher time frame resistance. So that gives you more evidence for that trade to play out, more confidence for that trade to play out, and therefore allow you to trade better setups. Don't take not so good setups, because imagine if you're taking this setup here, but it was coming into a massive level of weekly support. Well, the success of that opportunity will probably be far lower than if it was up at resistance, if you would take it 100 times as well. So that is one way to use multi-time frame analysis. And again, there's so many other ways you can use it. But those are the 2 biggest ways to kind of keep things simple and get good at in terms of understanding high time frame direction. and areas of support and resistance as well. Just using that together can give you some really nice trades, especially if you're going to drop to your lower time frames to trade it as well. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at for dollar yen, to be honest, because now price is breaking back underneath such a key level. I'm actually expecting us to push back into support there, 140. So that's been the expectation I've had for dollar yen. And as I've mentioned, we've broken through some structure here on the left as well. So all I'm looking for price to do really is pull back. We've got a nice trend line here as well. So I've been looking for price to pull back into this area and get that sell. Yeah, retest. Some nice support and resistance there as well. As you can see, really nice support over there, resistance there too. So if you can pull back, respect that area, respect the trend line, that would be a nice level to short from. And of course, taking into consideration that we're also shorting in that weekly level as well. So, building that story, building that picture. And the next big level is 140 down there. So I'm expecting a pretty big drop for dollar yen in the near future. So, expecting more downside, expecting a lot more downside for dollar yen. On the daily, it also broke resistance twice. Which level are you talking about? Because that is a very, very broad statement, because I'm not too sure which resistance level you're talking about. But of course, multiple timeframes will give you different ideas. For example, with the dollar yen, I was looking at that on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, there'll be other levels of support resistance you can look at. The key thing is you don't want to get too complicated or too look at too much information, because then you're just going to have a very messy chart, and you're not going to know where to buy and where to sell. You want to focus on the most pivotal areas on kind of each time frame really, and that'll give you a lot of evidence. The top. I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Do you mean the top over here or the top over there? Give me a price. Give me a price. Because otherwise we'll be here. We'll be here all day in terms of where you're looking at. But like I said, for more time frame analysis, just keep it relatively simple. Focus on direction. Focus on the areas where you're going to buy and sell in, and just get good at doing that. Because essentially every trading strategy, that's the pillar. You want to have direction and location. Where you're going to buy. If you're going to have a bullish bias, okay, great. But where do you want to buy it from? Where's your stop loss going to be? Where's your target going to be? And all that stems from is having a directional bias, and then knowing where you want to buy that. And whatever strategy you're trading, that's essentially where everything comes to. Having a place to buy and a direction, or a place to sell and a direction, of course. So if you can get good at doing that, that will help out so much, no matter what strategy you're trading. 158. Okay, so you're talking about the high here. On the daily, it also broke resistance twice. I'm not too sure about what you mean, to be honest. Do you mean that there's resistance up here? I'm not too sure what you mean by broke resistance twice. You talking about price broke through the level twice of 150, 164, 158? 164 was all the way up there. Yeah, I'm not. To be fair, I'm generally lost of what you mean. I have no idea what you're talking about. It's probably my fault, to be honest. Okay, you're talking about price breaking through this area. Yeah, it has broke through twice. Okay, are you talking about price breaking like that and then breaking back above? If so, I'm not too sure if that's what you meant. Okay, yeah, of course, it has broke below, and broke above a few times. So in those instances, price didn't respect the level. Not always price is going to respect resistance, and not always price is going to respect support. Because if it did, then we'll just have a load of sideways moving markets, and the markets wouldn't move anywhere. So, support resistance doesn't work all the time, and no other technical pattern or technical tool will work all the time either, as well. In those cases, price did break above and break below without respecting the zones. So that is a very good point to make. And that's why you kind of build up confidence, and you don't just look at that. You don't just look at support and resistance. You look at price respecting support and resistance. You look at candlestick patterns. You look at the direction of the market, where we're situated, momentum as well. How we get to the level is also very important as well. So there's many things you can look at to help guide you in terms of taking less trades that, okay, didn't play out, and taking more of the trades that do play out. But yeah, of course, support and resistance doesn't work all the time, because if it did, then all the market would be doing is this, just bouncing between resistance and support, which isn't the case. So yeah, we didn't respect it there. And yeah, after price develops, we'll create other levels of support and resistance. And then you're going to have to start paying attention to those as well. But yeah, that is true. It's not always going to respect. Yeah, Alfonso, analysis paralysis is looking at too much, 100%. Just like not taking, enough information is bad. Taking too much information is just as bad as well. Okay. I'll go through some more USD pairs. Lighten, I'll go through USDZAR as well. I'll just go through the rest of the yen pairs, and then I'll go through USD CAD and USD ZAR for you. Jay Huntley, that's a weak break on dollar yen of the resistance zone, so it should break up again and take the highs before going back down. Would you agree? Possibly. It depends. It depends on how much downside we see, and depends how we get there on the pullback as well. But I would agree it is a weak breakout. We haven't really seen much momentum in terms of how big of a break we saw. Like, for example, this was a really strong break. Then we got a nice little retest in price. Saw some nice downside as well. In this case, that is a very small break of the level compared to that one. And this had a lot more momentum as well. So ideally, I'd want to see a break like that. Of course, it doesn't happen every time, but this is a sign of a very powerful, strong break. So a retest should give you a good chance of price holding, because it's most likely a price making a move to actually continue in that direction. Whereas sometimes you do get weak breaks, which I would say this is so far a weak break as well. So if we could continue to the downside a little bit harder and a little bit faster, then I would actually be looking to expect that to hold and continue back down. But there is a possibility to do break to the upside. Of course, I want to judge how price pulls back, how we get there as well. If we're impulsively pushing to the upside or slowly pushing to the upside, that will make a big difference. And of course, the candlesticks when we get there as well. Are we seeing rejection? Is price just giving us big bullish candle after big bullish candle? Well, that will make up my mind as well. So it's possible we do break back above. I'm expecting us to keep falling to the downside, to be honest. We've broken through some structure on the left, which means that I'm not expecting such a big move to the upside anymore, because technically we had some bullish structure here, which price has now broken through. So I'm no longer expecting a move like that anymore. And now I'm expecting a bigger move back down to 140. So I don't expect us to break to the upside, but I do agree in terms of the breakout not being the biggest. Ideally, it would be a bit bigger of a breakout if I was being very, very picky. But yeah, since we have broken through the lows now, I do expect the move to downside to be the bigger move. I'm pretty bearish on USD as well. I'm expecting the dollar to stay weak too. So I do have quite a few reasons why I'm expecting a move down. But we'll see. It depends on the pullback, depends on the candlesticks. That will paint the picture as well. Okay, nice, Jay Hunting. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. I still like the shorts, but yeah, ideally the breakout it could have been a lot better. I do agree. Okay, so let's take a look at some other yen pairs. We went briefly through pound yen. I haven't forgot about dollar CAD and dollar ZAR. Lighten, we'll take a look. But yeah, pound yen hasn't been great either. I'm not really looking to trade this one unless it decides it wants to have a bit of a pullback. But you can see we've been struggling at support for quite a while right now. A lot of rejection at this area. It's been very, very awkward. I do have a very, very bearish bias with pound yen, as I do with pretty much all the yen pairs, to be honest. So I'm expecting a push back into the low here eventually at 180. But because I don't want to short directly into support, I want price to pull away first, similar to what Euro Yen is doing. And then I'm looking to find another lower high. So one over there, second over there, perhaps a third one. And then I can be looking to short that and take that back down into support, and maybe if I'm lucky back into that level there if I'm looking for a really big swing. But that is really where I want to short from. Again, like I said earlier, in terms of trading, you need to have a directional bias and areas which make sense to actually trade that bias. Like I said, I'm bearish bias because I'm looking for the continuation of that bearish move in July, last year, July. I'm looking at this as the pullback of that. So now I'm expecting price to continue to the downside. So that's the reason why I'm bearish. And based on where we're located as well on the monthly chart, which I'll quickly just take a look at. Oh, that's not the monthly chart. That is the 1 minute chart. There we go. So you can see where we're situated in the monthly as well. Massive resistance on the left. Last time we did something similar to this. You can see what happened on the left here. We pinched the high over there, big sell. Pinched the high over there, possibly might see a big sell as well. So we could be seeing a bigger reaction. So based on where we're situated and based on how the market structure is forming as well, it does look like pound yen can see a big move down. So if I'm looking to trade that, I need to find a good area to trade that. And at the moment, that's the only area which it makes sense. Or if we were to break through and then some pullbacks afterwards could look good as well. So that's an option too. But we're not really seeing much signs of that happening just yet. But that's really the only kind of setup I have for pound yen at the moment. And we're not close to forming either one of them. So yeah, just keeping a close eye on pound yen. But nothing to do just yet. In terms of CHF JPY, I like this one as well. This one's at all-time highs, so I'm expecting to see a pretty big drop. I'm not saying all-time highs as in right now, but generally speaking, it's at all-time highs. To the monthly chart, previous all-time high was back over here. We're trading above that, so I'm expecting a bit of retracement for Swiss yen. And we do have a really nice head and shoulder pattern on the daily chart as well. So as you can see, big left shoulder there, right shoulder, right shoulder. And of course, this is your neckline. Of course, at the moment, all we're doing is just bouncing on that support level. So I'm kind of waiting for price to either pull away from it, similar to pound yen, find another lower high to short it back down, something like that. Or of course, we make a lovely breakthrough and then I find some pullbacks later on. So that's the only way I'm finding opportunities right now. It's at support. So if you're looking to buy, it's not a bad area to do that. It's just I'm not bullish on Swiss yen. So that's why I'm not looking to buy. But we're still respecting support pretty well. In terms of Aussie yen, still pretty bearish on this one, expecting that wick low to go. We're not too far away. I was looking at a bigger pullback. I still am looking at a bigger pullback for Aussie yen, but not too sure if we'll get it. I'm looking at a push into this area here roughly. Lovely support down the left as well. Looking to see if we can come back, retest this area and get some entries there, stop us above the high, at least target the low. But like I said, the wick low is where I'm expecting price to get to. And eventually take out as well for the same reasons for pound yen, big drop to the downside. We're trading at some big areas on the monthly chart. And I'm simply looking for the continuation of that bearish momentum. And we're very, very close to seeing that as well. But in terms of entries, I can't be looking to find any entries now as we approach support. Any price to pull away first, respect resistance, and then I can find some entries up there. New Zealand yen as well, looking for the same idea, to be honest. I was looking for price to form a bit of a double top last week, coming back into that same area. But didn't quite see that happen yet. We could still do that this week, so I'm not going to rule that out. Again, logically expecting a push back into the low here. And we've got the wick over here, which is not too far away. And price has almost seen a new low beyond that as well. And again, big drop there in July, and it looks like we've just seen a continuation of that. So very, very bearish on pound. I keep saying pound yen. Very bearish on New Zealand yen. And expecting us to take out that wick low at 83. But in terms of entries, something like that would be really nice. Stops above the high and shorts back there again. So yeah, waiting to see if that will happen. It might not, but that's kind of how I'm looking to trade it. And then, of course, CAD yen. If we go on the daily chart, again, CAD yen expecting a new wick below this one. Of course, CAD's been pretty weak, so this one's actually seen a bit of a drop to the downside. We've had some really strong support here for CAD yen, which prices struggled to break through. Did not mean to do that. There we go. Which has struggled to break through. So I've been looking for price to have a bit of a pullback there for CAD yen, but we just haven't really seen one because again, CAD's been so weak. And it has been really corrective as well. So I think a pullback is likely, but we'll see. We'll see if CAD can find some strength from somewhere. But something like that is what I've been looking for. And yeah, if it can happen, great. If not, I'm sure there'll be more pullbacks because I'm expecting a pretty big move for CAD yen, not just back to take out that wick low. I'm looking for push into support down here, which is around 94. So in my book, there's still a big drop to be had and multiple pullbacks to be had as well. So I'm not too fussed about finding entry just yet. And that goes for most of the yen pairs because I'm expecting big drops. I'm expecting a bit of a trend to form here to the downside, which could last a while. So if I'm right about that, then there should be multiple opportunities to catch in the next few weeks, few months as well. But a pullback would be nice. And then quickly looking at the yen basket as well, still very bullish on this one. It looks like we're trying to push the upside here. Still very awkward. Expecting us to eventually go and take out the wick high over there. Got kind of nice bowl shape pattern which is forming, and we're slowly picking up the pace to the upside. Looks like we're breaking through some resistance here as well. And if we can stay above that, perhaps we're looking at a nice break and retest for a push to the upside. It's been a bit of an awkward one, but so far holding pretty well. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the yen pairs. Still very bullish overall on the yen basket. So that means I'm expecting yen strength, which means I'm expecting the yen pairs to fall. So yeah, that's why I'm just going to be focusing on the shorts. Okay. Do the 1 hour and the 30-minute. Really appreciate it. Okay, no problem, Lighton. Okay, so we'll take a look at dollar CAD and then USD ZAR. And we'll focus on the hourly and the 30-minute. So let me drop to the hourly chart. Let me just move my position to the side so I can focus on the price action. So I have to admit, on the hourly chart, it's not looking great, to be honest, because price did break above the high here on the left, which I said last week is not a good sign for the sellers, because of course we had that bearish structure to the downside. Then of course we had NFP and I think it was CAD unemployment rate last Friday, and a big push to the upside was the result of that. And price did break above structure there as well. So although I'm still bearish on dollar CAD, it might mean that we do push back to the high first before selling off, which could give some people some nice entries on the double top there potentially. If you're looking to short, because I wouldn't really be looking to short in here because number one, it's just very corrective and very choppy. I'm not too sure about stop loss placement. I feel like you're very vulnerable in these areas. Hasn't been running smoothly. So yeah, with dollar CAD on the hourly chart, that break of structure does look like we're trying to continue to the upside here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a bit of a rally this afternoon or maybe tomorrow for dollar CAD. Not too sure about looking for longs there, but that's kind of the move I'm expecting to see happen. And then maybe we can look for a bigger sell from there afterwards. But yeah, judging how price is looking, the break of structure there as well. Yeah, it does look like we might be seeing a bit of a push there on the hourly chart to the upside. In terms of USD ZAR, so USD ZAR, okay, looks like we're coming back into a pretty big level of resistance here. I think that was on like the 4-hour daily chart, and now we're testing that as resistance. So I have to admit the pullback has been pretty aggressive. So it was a nice break to the downside, but then we pulled back really aggressively. It's not like price has spent some time on a nice, healthy, corrective pullback. So because of that, I'm not so confident about expecting that to hold. I wouldn't be too surprised if we were to break back above, to be honest. And if we were to do that, then some buys on the retest would actually look pretty good because then, number one, you've got your big fake out. And number two, you've got a nice break of structure as well, because that was our previous lower high, which gave us a big push down. That would be a break of structure, and that would be a nice buy on the retest. Simply taking a buy off the retest there, and perhaps trying to catch a move to the upside back into some areas up there as well. So I am still pretty bearish on USDR, to be honest. I do think we could see a pretty big move down, and pretty bearish on USD as well. So if USD stays weak, that should drag USDR down too. But we might just be seeing a deeper correction, back into some of the lower highs here. And then maybe from there, we get another big sell. But I'm not so confident about the retest of that resistance level because of the way we've pulled back. It's been a little bit too aggressive. If it was a little bit slower, I would have liked it, and then I'll be a bit more optimistic about respecting this for another drop, because that is the bigger move I'm expecting it to happen. But at least from an hourly perspective, if price was to break back above support, well, then you can base a trade from that and look for some buys, perhaps maybe tomorrow. So yeah, for dollar CAD and USDR on the lower time frames, we could probably see a bit of a push, and of course, because of dollar as well, dollar's being so weak, it's probably due a bit of a move to the upside anyway, at least in terms of retracement. So if dollar retraces and sees some upside for USD, then that should help fund your move on dollar CAD and USDR as well. Like I said, I'm still bearish overall in terms of the bigger move, but if you're focused on the hourly chart, I think at least for the next day or two, you might see some upside. Yeah, it has been a bit choppy, to be honest. It has been a bit choppy. Again, the week's just started. A lot of people don't even like trading Mondays in general. Some people just avoid trading Mondays and start trading on Tuesday from then on. Because if you think about it, for a week's candle to close, you're going to get the upper wick and most likely the lower wick as well. And most likely, Monday, Tuesday, the market kind of forming that first wick, and then it's going to make the move from Wednesday to Friday, and then close on Friday, of course. So some people avoid trading on Mondays because they kind of expect that's when the most manipulation will be. I don't really have that process because I trade in the 4-hour chart. So there's not a lot of intraday fluctuation I take into consideration, because one 4-hour candle will take into account 4 hours of movement. There's only 6 4-hour candles in a day as well. I don't even look to trade 2 of them because I'm asleep during those hours as well. So really, I'm only focused on 4-hour candles a day. So I don't really look to avoid Mondays, and from my data, it doesn't really tell me to avoid Mondays either. But I know some intraday traders who will avoid Mondays, and sometimes Mondays are a little bit slow as well. The market just starting up as well. Yeah, not too high for sells, too low for buys. Yeah, just hoping to see it move either way to get good opportunities. Yeah, I agree. No problem, Lighton. Again, that's good awareness as well in terms of what you're looking to trade, because some people just trying to force a trade wherever they can. And like I said, a good way to improve your trading is just to stop taking bad trades, because funny enough, especially when you've been trading for a while, and by a while I mean like a year plus, especially if you dedicate that year to a specific way of trading, so you haven't kind of chopped around too much in terms of strategies, which is expected. But if you've got like a decent year spending time with one approach, you'll get good pretty fast at looking at good opportunities in the market. You will spot good opportunities, but you would probably take a good trade, then you would take 3 kind of average trades, then you would take another good trade and another 3 average, and maybe 2 good trades and then 5 average trades. So if you could kind of just take away those average trades or those really bad trades, it will help you out the curve so much. And it's just focusing on doing less of the bad stuff, not even focusing about improving the good stuff. Of course, that will help too. But if you kind of just get rid of the bad stuff, that will help your trading so much. And yeah, and a good way of looking at that is where you're positioned in the market. Is it appropriate to sell? Is it appropriate to buy? If you're neither in those areas, then kind of stay away. No point trying to force it. So yeah, at the moment, I'll go through some of the crosses, some of the CHF pairs, some of the CAD pairs as well. I haven't really been going through them for a while. I haven't gone from the indices yet as well. In fact, I'll go through the indices first because I did say I was going to look at them earlier. But at the moment, in terms of myself, like I said, I'm currently still short dollar CAD, and I do have a small position running um, on Aussie CHF from a few weeks back, actually. That was, I think I entered that on the 12th of Feb. Let me check. Yeah, 12th of Feb, and it's the 10th of March right now. So in 2 days, it'll be a month. But like I said, I've already taken most of my position off at the low here because that was the target for the trade. It's just trying to focus on making my winners count for more, which is just letting your winners run a little bit more, not unnecessarily, because some positions I wouldn't want to leave to run for more, like the dollar CAD trade. I'm not looking to push that trade for a bigger target because I'm counter trend there. But going dollar CAD, you can see momentum is definitely against me on that position. So I don't want to be in that trade for too long in case the buyers do step back in. Whereas Aussie CHF, the bigger move has pretty much always been to the downside for this one. So staying in that trade gives you the chance to capitalize on that bigger move. Um, and the only reason why I'm not holding full position back to the low here is because number one, negative swaps can add up quite a lot with Aussie CHF. And number two, this pair does consolidate quite a lot. This move back down here could end up taking 6 months potentially. I don't want to be holding a trade for 6 months, especially if I'm paying to hold the position. If it was a positive swaps, then I wouldn't mind because if it takes 1 month to 6 months, I'm still going to make a profit and a pretty nice one as well. Look at that 1 to 6 there. I wouldn't mind holding for that long, to be honest. Especially because I'll be trading other pairs as well, and that's kind of running in the background, especially when there's no risk on the table either. So I don't really mind. But especially when we look into pay swaps, then it becomes a bit costly. So I'll take my profit at the low there, pretty much be done with the trade. I'll leave a small position to run. My stop loss are trailed above the high there. So worst case scenario, price does go against me, I'll be out the trade. But yeah, we'll see if price does continue to fall. Basically, if the trend does continue, there's a good chance it will. And I have been looking at some other CHF pairs because, again, if you look at kind of the higher time frames for most of the CHF pairs, they're all kind of pointing in the same direction. New Zealand CHF, if we go to the weekly chart, this has been a nice clear bearish trend. Pound CHF, if I go to the weekly as well, clear bearish trend there too. CAD CHF, we've got a clear bearish trend there as well. Euro CHF, a clear bearish trend there as well. So pretty much all CHF pairs have been pointing down. Doesn't mean there's no good buy opportunities. There are good buy opportunities 100%. But in terms of the longer term move, it has always been pointing down. So if you're looking for a bigger swing, well, if you can find a short on the CHF pair, then you're probably looking at a good trade there. So that's why I've been looking at shorts, but I haven't really managed to catch anything. I'm keeping an eye on pound CHF because this one's been slowly correcting to the upside. I also really like that wick there on the weekly chart. It looks as if prices tried to break through resistance, but before the week kind of closed, left behind a big wick there. So kind of looking for us to roll over. I'm expecting us to eventually come back into the wick low there, but I'm kind of waiting for us to break support first, which is something like this, which is probably going to take a while, but the market isn't going anywhere, so I guess I can wait. I mean, I'll be looking at other opportunities whilst that continues, but some of that looks good for pound CHF, so I'm keeping an eye on that. New Zealand CHF I do like as well, but it's just in terms of finding opportunities, I don't think I will. We're very, very close to the all-time low. I need price to pull back a lot further if I'm going to find a good entry. So, yep, I'm just going to stay away from prices down here until we do get a bigger pullback. Yusuf, gold and silver. Okay, we'll have a look. If you guys have been enjoying the stream, by the way, finding it useful, please be sure to smash the like button. It does really help out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well if you're finding the content useful and you want to see more as well. And make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss on any streams or uploads in the future. I do really appreciate everyone who has liked, subscribed to the channel. It does really help out. So again, thanks again for that. Let's go take a look at gold and silver, then I'll go through some indices and see what's going on there, because we've seen some pretty big moves in the indices last week and some awkward ones as well. So for gold, as I've said, it's a bit awkward. Price is just kind of consolidating. So I'm kind of just waiting for price to break out of this range, and then hopefully that will paint the picture in terms of what we could be seeing next for gold, because we had this big push to the downside a couple of weeks back, and then we had a big recovery. So price can give us this V-shaped pattern here. Not the best one you ever see, but it still kind of fits the mold. But since then, price has been consolidating. So if we are going to break back to highs here, then we need to break through the range and then perhaps some pullbacks. More so in the 15-minute chart, 30-minute chart could look really good on a retest. And you can swing it back to highs there at 29.55. Or, of course, if we can break to the downside, then some pullbacks after that will look good. And some shorts back to low. Either which way, you're waiting for price to break outside that range. Because if you want direction, the best way to get direction is to follow momentum. Right now, there is no momentum. Price is just respecting support, respecting resistance. There's nothing really to do there. But should we see a strong break to the downside, seeing a lot of momentum to the downside? Well, if that continues, there's a good chance we do come back to the low there. And you can base some edge off that, pullbacks, shorts, so on and so forth. And likewise to the upside as well. So that's really what I'm looking at for gold. Very, very neutral whilst we're in this range. But once we break out, then I'll be saying, okay, I'm expecting bearishness or I'm expecting bullishness. At the moment, nothing really to see there. In terms of silver, I actually do like this one because we're trading on a really big level. Again, it's not clear cut yet in terms of what silver's trying to do, because on this daily chart, you can see we've tested it multiple times. And if we can break through this, well, then I expect the silver to push all the way back to the high there, 34.83, and probably a lot further as well. So I do expect to see a lot more upside if we can get a successful break. Like on the other hand as well, if price does respect this well, then I can see potentially a big drop as well. So I can see price going both ways there for silver. But because I'm pretty bearish on the dollar and I'm pretty bullish in general on gold and silver, I'm more kind of leaning towards the buy. So I'm more looking forward to the break to the upside if that can come around. And then see if I can take silver back to 34.83. In terms of the low time frames, it just looks very, very awkward right now. I don't think there's a really good trade opportunity right now. We're kind of moving sideways, similar to gold as well. So I'm looking to see if we can actually break to the upside, get some pullbacks and some trades like that. So yeah, that's really what I'm looking for silver at the moment. It's very, very awkward. Not really seeing a clear-cut setup just yet. So yeah, hopefully that made sense. BTC, okay, LFTJ, we'll take a look at that as well. Jay Huntley, surely a false breakout on gold from that consolidation and then the impulse in the opposite direction. Is that what you're saying is going to happen, or are you saying that's already happened? I mean, that could be a situation. That could be a nice trade if price does fake out one way and then makes a move in the opposite direction. That could end up being a really nice trade. So, for example, let's say if we try to break lower, then we break back above. Then that could end up being a nice buy, and likewise a nice sell as well. But yeah, we have to see what the breakout does, because the breakout could be false. It could not be false. It can go both ways. So that's why I'm waiting for the breakout. Then we can see what happens after. If we can get a nice pullback, then great. We've got a nice short to follow. If price just closes straight back in the zone, well, of course, then that's a false breakout. And then we can probably anticipate price doing something like this shortly after. And of course, vice versa in the opposite direction as well. But yeah, we haven't really got a breakout yet. It might be false. It might not be false. If it is false, we can use that to our advantage and look for opportunities as well. But yeah, first thing first is actually get a breakout, because all price is doing is just moving sideways. Thinking it might happen because it has been weak bullish momentum to the left. Yeah, true, that could happen. If you're looking for that, and of course you just got to sit tight and wait for that to happen. If you're looking for a bit of manipulation to the downside and then a push up again, then you're going to have to sit tight and wait for that to happen. Likewise, we could break to the downside and price just continues falling. And that could be a nice trade if you're looking for a breakout as well. A big part of trading is just staying reactionary because you're not necessarily going to predict the future. With trading, your traders are not predictors of the future. It's a common kind of misconception of what a trader is. We're not here to predict the future. We're here to trade patterns and trade probabilities. If price does this, well, then we've got a likely chance that price is going to do that. And then there we have an edge, and there we can make a profit. So a big part of trading is just reacting to what price is going to do. Price may break to the downside. Price may just explode to the upside for whatever reason as well. None of us are necessarily predicting that. But if price was to do that, what's the edge from that? What's the situation? What can we trade from that? And then that's where trading comes into play. But yeah, if we do break to the downside, have a bit of a fake out, then yeah, we can use that to our advantage. But we'll see. We just have to wait and see what price gives us. I'll take a look at BTC next. So Bitcoin, yeah, Bitcoin not looking too hot, I have to admit. We've respected resistance pretty well. I mean, we'll support pretty well, but now turn resistance, yeah, it's not looking too good. We do have a big level down here around 74, 73K, or kind of where I'm expecting price to push into. And if we could see a push back into that level, that would be fantastic because I think that would be a nice place for a buy. But for now, yeah, we've had a couple of attempts trying to break to the upside. It hasn't worked too well. We'll come back to retest that range from not last week, the week before. Nice consolidation, big drops to the downside, retested. And then we saw another break to the downside as well, kind of breaking through this counter trend line here as well. So yeah, I think for Bitcoin, we're probably going to see a bit of a correction, perhaps, and then another push down. Not too sure about trading it because, of course, we're coming to support now, so it's probably not the best time in terms of finding entries. Shorting at the retest is the best thing for that. But now that we have seen some momentum, expecting a bit more downside, and then buys down here is kind of what I'm looking to take. So yeah, if Bitcoin can see some more downside, that'd be great. Then we'll look to see if we can take some buys from 74K. But to me, it looks like price rejected that level pretty well. So now the next area of interest will be there. So let's see if price can get there. And then if we do, then perhaps we can talk about some longs, only if we see sufficient rejection. Of course, we could go a lot further. Let's not forget Bitcoin can have those big corrections, 50% corrections. We push to 108K. 50% of 108K is about 54K. And if I mark 54K on the chart, you're looking around here. So, and 50% is not even that big as well. We could see 60, we could see 70. I think a push to 72K is just roughly around the 30% drop. So it's not that crazy. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for Bitcoin for now. In terms of the indices, so we'll go through NAS first. We'll take a look at S&P, US 30. We'll take a look at the DAX as well. But yeah, it's been pretty bearish for the indices the past few days. It's not looking too great. Breaking to the downside there. Breaking to the downside there for NAS, breaking support. I did say if that support breaks, I would be pretty bearish with NAS in terms of, okay, I think a bit of a counter trend could form, and we might see a lot more downside. Because essentially for NAS, we've just been consolidating at the top here. We never really got the break to the upside, and now actually getting break to the downside. And of course, that's left behind some previous support, which is now going to be resistance. So I'm expecting pullbacks and a lot more downside. Market is fairly corrective, however, so I want to see how we pull back because that will make or break the opportunity, really. If it's a very impulsive drive, especially if you break above, well, that might just be a big fake out potentially. It's just because the breakout hasn't necessarily been a confident move. It's been a very kind of sluggish push to the downside. So I am a little bit with the breakout. I would wish that was a bit more aggressive. So it's not really like a clear-cut opportunity. It is a clear-cut breakout. We've definitely broken support. Can't argue against that. But the way we've broken out hasn't been of the highest standard. Of course, it's not always going to be of the highest standard. Sometimes you're going to get breakouts which are not great. And it's up to you to judge if you want to take that trade or not. And then when you see the clean breakouts, those are the ones that you want to trade without hesitation. This one hasn't been particularly great, but we'll see in terms of how we pull back, if price can actually respect the level. If so, then we could be talking about some shorts again for NAS. But yeah, in terms of the buys, though, it's not looking great. That I'm sure about. Expecting retracement, yes, but in terms of trend continuation, I'll be pretty surprised if we kind of just fly to the moon there. Could happen, of course. Don't want to ever rule anything out, especially when you've been trading for very long. You're always surprised by the market. But yeah, I would want the support to hold there if I was going to look to long NAS. In terms of S&P, same situation there as well. Breaking support. Again, not the biggest break of support you'd ever see in terms of not aggressive as well. Typically, you kind of want to see a bit more downside. If you look here, really strong break of support there. It did get kind of corrected a little bit afterwards, but we did form a lower high and price did continue back down, especially there as well. So yeah, I kind of want to see price drop a lot further first and then look for those counter trend moves. But that is what I'm starting to eye up for S&P, for NAS, is some sells. I just want to see a little bit more downside, maybe a bit more juice as well. And then we can start talking about something like that. If I go take a look at US 30, this one hasn't broken support yet, so I'm not bearish on US 30 just yet. We are approaching that territory though, but we haven't broken support just yet. But I do expect us to get there. So I would suggest some shorts on the 4 hour could look really good. Not the 4 hour, lower than that, but lower time frames could look good. If we can get a bit of a pullback, maybe respect the high, I think that'll be a nice place for a short. Nice place to put a stop loss above as well, and perhaps capitalize on the move there. So I think shorts in US 30 actually look the best because I think there's a really good chance we do get to support. And in terms of trading that, you've got a nice little level to short it from. You've got those prior lower highs, 1, 2, 3, perhaps a fourth there. And that could be a nice little trade there to take into the low. So I think US 30 actually looks the best right now, even though that hasn't broken through major support just yet. In terms of the DAX, yeah, DAX is seeing a bit of a down move there this morning. The DAX is, in fairness, becoming a bit more corrective now. So it's a sign that, okay, the market's starting to slow down, and perhaps we could be going for a bit of a pullback, which is to be expected because this has been so bullish. Looking back, it's been a long time since we've been seeing price this steep. So I think the pullback is pretty necessary. But again, difficult to short it because you can't necessarily look to the left and plot a level because we've never been here before. So it's a bit difficult. But if you can get a break of the channel, then that'll be a nice indication for more downside and perhaps some retest could follow. But yeah, not looking too good for the DAX. I mean, it is looking good. It's still a very bullish market, but it's a sign that we're slowing down because of how corrected we are. So I do expect to see a bit of a move down at some point. Jay Huntley, thoughts on XRP for a buy, please? Yes, so we'll take a look at that for you, no problem. The L thought is up, US oil thoughts, okay, we'll take a look at oil as well. So XRP. So yeah, XRP, again, it's awkward. It's nice to see XRP created new all-time highs. That is great to see. Not so great that we're stalling there, but I like it, especially with all that momentum as well, especially taking up that prior bull run there too. I think that's a really good sign for XRP. We had a really big push, and then if we kind of made another big push and for another lower high, that wouldn't be too good. The fact that we took that high out, that was a good sign. However, we're coming into an interesting area because since we had that big bullish move last year, we've created a lot of support in this area. If we can continue to hold this, then I do think this could be an area that does potentially catapult us back to highs and further. If we start breaking through, then it could insinuate a pretty big pullback for XRP. Maybe back to some of these areas here before we do see maybe another attempt to have a bit of a run. But it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a buy for XRP, this is a great area. Again, I'll keep it relatively simple. No need to look for anything too crazy. If I drop the 4-hour chart, if you can get a nice buy from here, I would say even back into this level here, makes a load of sense for a target. Maybe if you're being a bit greedy, you can look up there, but back to 2.6, I think makes a load of sense. Yeah, but I like the buys. We're coming back into a thick level of support. Prices test this on numerous occasions, a lot of wicks, so it's a clear sign that, okay, buyers are finding their feet pretty well here. Sellers are not successful. As long as that stays intact, then yeah, I think buys look good. But I'm not necessarily suggesting this again. I mean, I do expect that in the long run. But I think we've got a bigger correction to have for XRP before we do see a big move, especially with Bitcoin looking like looks like Bitcoin's going to fall. Bitcoin's falling, then all the smaller cryptocurrencies are probably going to see some downside as well. But some short-term buys, maybe for a day or two, I think XRP is in a nice place for it. Okay, we'll go through oil next for the ELF. Gorish, your USD chart. Okay, we'll take a look. No problem, Jay Huntley. Happy to help. Sayanda, hope I'm saying that correctly. Gold. Looks like a sell, please. Okay, I'll go through gold in a second. Let me just go for oil and Euro USD. So, in terms of oil, let me look at. There you go. So, in terms of oil was at a really nice level of support. A really nice level of support where we can bounce from. If I was to drag this across, you can see where we're trading for oil. Really big support there, big push to the upside, another one over there, and another one over there, and now we're there again. So if you're looking for a buy for oil, you're in the right place. You're in the right place for a buy. Again, I'm not necessarily expecting oil to absolutely catapult to the upside. We are still got these lower highs to contend with. Drawing the weekly charts a bit better. So you've still got these weekly highs to contend with, and you've got to watch out for. And all the market is essentially doing is just squeezing between support and resistance with the trend line. So respecting support, pushing to the trend line, respecting resistance, back and forth. So eventually the price is going to break out and do something like this. In which direction, I'm not too sure. We'll find out eventually. But in terms of if you're looking to buy oil, we're in the right place for it. So I did say last week that if we were to come back, maybe from a bit of a double bottom, that'd be a nice place for a buy, perhaps back into this area. There is some strong support here as well. That could be a nice target to have. Not looking for anything too crazy, just understanding that, okay, any previous sellers who capitalize on that big sell there, most likely are getting ready to take some profit now. So closing sell positions, and that should naturally see a bit of a relief for the market, especially because we're coming into such a big level on a higher time frame chart, and you've seen so much rejection from here. So there's a pretty good chance that sellers will be backing away now. And naturally, that should give a bit of relief to the market, and hence some buyers should take some profit there. So I do expect to see a bit of a bounce there for oil. Like I said, not necessarily expecting a huge swing, but expecting a bit of relief. So I do like oil buys for now. In terms of Euro USD, for this one, very bullish, expecting a lot more upside for Euro. My targets for the trade or for the next big move for Euro is back at 1.11, roughly 1.105. Looking for us to approach that level of resistance. We had, of course, an exceptional bullish week last week. And now I'm just looking for the pullback of that for more upside. However, it's been a bit difficult because the areas which I want to be finding entries in are down here at 1.06. I really do like that level at 1.06. I also like the level at 1.05, but I don't think we'll see a pullback that big. Now we could do, of course, we could do. I don't want to rule that out. But I think because there's just so much momentum in the market, something like this back to 1.07 looks a little bit more likely. Same with the DXY as well, but I'll keep an eye on these areas. Really big support there once, resistance there twice as well. And that would be a nice place for a pullback. And of course, coming back into the 50, naturally a nice area to long. And then, yeah, looking to capitalize on a push to 1.105 there. But yeah, very, very bullish on Euro USD. I'm seeing a really big move there. So it's just about looking to wait for that retracement and then buy. I understand that a few people will be looking to try and short Euro because the market's had such a big move. So you're expecting the market to retrace, which again makes sense. Same with dollar as well. But it's just I expect the bigger move to be to the upside rather than down. Therefore, I want to focus going up and not down. If you're on the lower time frames, I can understand that as well because you're just looking for a shorter term trade, catching a few pips and then walking away. And in fairness, we are at a nice area for that. Looking to the left, coming back into big supply area. This is where we had the presidential election back in November. Big push to the downside, and prices now coming back into the area for the first time. So perhaps we do see some sellers entering the chart, buyers maybe taking some profit and seeing a bit of a relief there. So I understand looking for some buys, but as I said for myself, I'm just very bullish. So I'm only really looking to long the pair for now. And in terms of gold, we'll take a look at that. So gold, I am kind of neutral, at least in the lower time frames anyway. Bullish overall on gold, of course. Still very much looking at 3K over there, and price probably going a lot further than that. I did speak about the retest of this level here a couple of weeks back when we had that drop as a nice area to perhaps look into long the pair if we could see sufficient rejection. Of course, we haven't got there yet. So that's really well I'm looking to buy. But on the lower time frames, all I can see gold is moving sideways. So if gold is going to sell, because you said it's looking bearish, so I assume you're looking to sell gold. If I was looking to sell gold, especially in the lower time frames, I would wait for us to break through support first. If I can see a confident break of support, then I'll look for some pullbacks and then look for the continuation back into the prior low, which is down here. So that would essentially be my target for the trade. Yes, I understand that we've had a really strong bearish close down the 4-hour chart. It looks like we're seeing some downside down the hourly as well. So we are looking bearish from that degree, but we are approaching support there. So although we might be looking bearish here, we are approaching support, which could very much start to send us back up again, and then we could be looking very bullish. So yes, momentum is a little bit bearish right now, just specifically talking about that. But overall, the market is sideways, and overall, we're trading into support. So if you're looking to short, you want price to break through that and then look for opportunities once you're outside of that. Because for all we know, we could be coming back to retest and turn around again. So yeah, if you're looking to short gold, I would wait for 28.94 to break, which is the support of the range there. Then shorts after that, I can get behind. Shorting before that, you're kind of running into a bit of trouble there. Maybe you do catch the breakout again. Trading is all about probabilities. You could take a bad trade and still win. You could take a good trade and still lose. So the success of the trade shouldn't be the pivotal judgment of a trade. Of course, it's a big part to play, but you want to look at things beforehand. Did it make sense to take that trade right now? I would argue not, especially if you're looking at the lower time frames. I'd wait for that support to break, and then opportunities afterwards will make sense. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with gold. I'll quickly go through some of the CAD pairs, some of the crosses, because I haven't gone through those yet. So I did mention pound CAD early in the stream. I actually really like this. This is part of my watch list, actually, in terms of what I'm looking to trade. I'm looking for something like this. CAD has just been very, very weak. Pound being a little bit strong, but more so CAD being weak. So we've had a really big breakout of resistance here, and we haven't really looked back since. So I'm kind of hoping that it's time for CAD to gain some strength a little bit and have a bit of a pullback. Hopefully that can come around in the next few days. But basically the plan here for pound CAD is very, very simple. Massive break to the upside out of strong resistance. We're yet to come back and use it as support. So I expect to see a bounce there. And if I go to the weekly chart, you can see we've actually broken through some key structure on the left here as well. Taking that wick high and dragged that across. You can see this week's candles cleared that and closed above. So potentially, maybe a bit of a breakout is on the cards. But first, I do want to see a bit of a pullback. EuroCAD is fairly similar as well. There's a nice level. Price is broken through, but it's a lot further away. A lot further away than pound CAD. So I think pound CAD's the better one to focus on, because this one has broken through a level, but it's really pulled away. And EuroCAD's also come into a bit of an awkward area, because we're coming back into this range here where I do think potentially a lower high could form, but at least a reaction anyway. But yeah, EuroCAD's had such a big move. If you're looking to sell, I understand why. Number one, the market is very stretched, very overextended, so it's likely to pull back at some point. And number two, we're coming to an area where you probably could expect a pullback to happen from. So I can see people looking to short, but yeah, CAD is still just very weak right now across most currencies. So that strength needs to kick in at some point. And until we see some suitable rejection, I would avoid looking just to try and short it outright. At least wait for price to maybe consolidate a little bit, maybe form a bit of a double top, and then look for some opportunities off the back of that. But for now, I wouldn't say there's much to work with. And yeah, if we do get a bigger pullback, then something like that will look good. But I have to wait a few days for that to happen. In terms of New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD, I've been pretty bearish on these ones, but the price actually hasn't been great. In fairness, for how weak CAD has been, it's quite impressive that New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD hasn't really broken to the upside yet. But it looks like we're trying to attempt that at least now anyway. You can see New Zealand CAD there looking pretty bullish this morning. I said on the weekly analysis that if New Zealand CAD does see a strong break of the level there, then perhaps we are going to get a continuation to the upside and some buys. If that is the case, then there might be a lot of upside to work with here. Of course, you want to wait for the strong break first, because likewise, this could just be another retest for a big rejection as well. So you want to be a bit careful with that. But if you do see a strong break to the upside, that does look like a possible buy opportunity. Aussie CAD Aussie CAD as well. As you can see, lovely resistance here. Now we're trying to attack to the upside. Again, is this price just coming back for a retest, or is this price coming back to actually make progress and a big breakout? That could be the case. If it is, then perhaps we are seeing another higher low in this pattern here. And we could look to try and follow that and take that to the upside as well. So need to keep a close eye on that for Aussie CAD and New Zealand CAD, especially if CAD does stay pretty weak as well. But yeah, strong break to the upside. Looking at something like this to follow afterwards, and that could be a nice buy. I'm not really interested with the buys there, to be honest, because it doesn't really fit into my high time frame analysis. Because my high time frame analysis for both of those pairs has been very bearish. We've broken through this counter trend line. If I zoom out for Aussie CAD, you can see overall the market has been forming these massive lower highs here. And I'm essentially just looking for that to continue. And since we did break through the counter trend line, I've been expecting something like this to happen. So that has been my bias on the higher time frame. So I've been really looking to try and follow that, but I haven't really had a good opportunity to do so. So I pretty much stayed out the market, and now it looks like trying to break resistance. So temporarily, there might be a nice correction there, but I'm still not convinced about the bigger move. And same thing with New Zealand CAD as well. Still not really convinced about the bigger move for this one. If I can spell what is going on, there we go. So I still haven't really been convinced about the bigger move for this one either. But zoom out as well, you can see overall bearish structure for those major lower highs. So I've been expecting a push back into support here. We just missed it not long ago, but I was expecting that just to be a bit of a pullback for us to go and hit that level. Perhaps that isn't the case, and we might be breaking to the upside. But again, even if we do break to the upside, how big of a move is that? Is that just to form another lower high and come back down? Is that to reverse? I'm not too clear on that situation. Therefore, it's not really a trade I'll be looking to take there with New Zealand CAD. So just being patient, and hopefully a nice opportunity could form soon afterwards. But yeah, CAD pairs, not too much to say apart from expecting CAD to eventually gain some strength and seeing a bit of a pullback. In terms of the crosses, these have been pretty interesting, of course, very bullish as well. Not as bullish as the CAD pairs quite. Not quite as bullish as them, but pretty bullish past few days. Again, this is pound NZD expecting a bit of a correction but pretty soon. Get to the daily chart. No, that is the daily chart. Go to the weekly chart. So yeah, we're coming to areas where I do expect to see price have a bit of a breather. Did form a pretty nice double top as well, actually. I did say if you're looking to sell pound NZD, maybe wait for a bit of a double top to form before jumping in. At least you can kind of confirm that momentum is slowing down. We have rejected pretty well there, so that would have been a nice place for an entry. When was that? Friday? No, that was early Monday. And at least see a bit of a correction. I did talk about the retest of the high here. Did we do that? Okay, we already did that. I do like the buys down here. I talked about that as well on the weekly analysis. There's a really nice place for a buy, solid resistance once, twice, and a third time. So it would be nice to see price come back, retest that level, and see a nice buy. But of course, we need to wait for that, have the pullback. But I like the buy because price has been so consistent with all the higher lows. You can see here 1, 2, 3, kind of 4 together there, 5, 6, so potentially 7. So, as long as we stay consistent with the higher lows, there's a good chance we do continue to the upside and don't break structure. Of course, if we do break structure, I will back away. Yeah, pound CAD, as I mentioned, just looking for a pullback into that one to retest prior high in the daily chart. So essentially waiting for a pullback and then some more buys. There's a lot of momentum in the market currently. We've broken through a key structure on the weekly chart as well. But solid resistance haven't really been used as support yet. So if we can get a pullback, that should provide a nice long opportunity. Dollar CHF, I haven't actually looked at dollar CHF, so that's a good point. Dollar CHF is an interesting one because I'm very bullish on CHF for kind of longer term, and I'm very bearish on USD longer term. So in my book, USD CHF should be continuing to fall for quite a while and possibly all the way back into support, which would take us all the way back into 0.84 there. Again, if I go to, not the daily, if I go to the weekly chart, you can see price is coming back from a big rejection of resistance here. Once, twice, and a third time there as well. I like the candle last week. Really big bearish candle. So expecting us to make our way back down to 0.84. All prices really done for dollar CHF is just respect high after low after high after low. We've just been ranging essentially. So yeah, if we're going to continue the range, then you expect us to get back down to support. There's also a level here at 0.6, 0.86 I'll keep an eye on. But dollar CHF looks very bearish to me. So pullbacks will look good. Perhaps the retest of this level here. Oh, didn't mean to do that. On that level there, prior support, turn resistance. If I whip out the fib, probably coming back into the 50 there, or between the 0.5 and 0.618. So this area here would be a nice space for a short. You could pull back into that, find a lower high, then get the continuation. Maybe a bit of trendline confluence if we're lucky. But overall, just looking for the continuation of this bearish structure. We saw one high, another lower high, another lower high, another one there, and expecting more of that. And I also like the momentum as well. Really strong move to the downside. So there's a good chance we see the continuation of that. And yeah, get some pullbacks going and then some more shorts. You've got another low down there to target. And if you're looking for the big swing, potentially 0.84 there as well. But yeah, in my book, dollar CHF, more downside looks pretty likely. So yeah, dollar CHF very bearish on in terms of the other crosses as well. So pound Aussie, I'm pretty bullish on this one as well. But again, this one is due a bit of a pullback. We've been taking out some major highs recently, so naturally just expecting price to retrace a little bit. Again, bit of a double top there. Nice rejection at the high. I think that was a nice opportunity because a lot of people last week during the streams were talking about shorting pound Aussie, shorting pound NZD, Euro Aussie. And I said, if you're looking to try and short these ones, because of course they've had some big moves, so they're very stretched. So I can understand the reason for shorting them, but at least wait for some strong rejections to occur to tell us that, okay, price is likely to form a bit of a top now, and now it's time to retrace. And it looks like we are forming that there on the 4-hour chart of that double top. Some areas down here which we could come back and retest. So that's kind of what we're looking at there for pound Aussie. Still overall a very bullish market, 100%, but could be time to see a bit of a pullback now and another retracement. Same thing with Euro NZD and Euro Aussie. Euro NZD is taking up some major highs there too, and has left behind some nice areas for some longs. As you can see, it would be nice to see a price come back and retest that level. Not much rejection with Euro NZD in terms of we broke to the upside, saw new highs. Perhaps if we could do something like this, that would be a nice trade there to then get into some shorts. I would keep an eye on that if you're looking to short Euro NZD. And Euro Aussie kind of similar as well. Looking at the daily chart, really big move, taking out the wick highs there too. So this tells me that price is, number one, pretty overextended. Really big move there in the past few days. Pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you count the doji as well, 10, 11 consecutive bullish candles there on USD. There's been a long time since we saw that many bullish candles in one go. Especially with such a big move there as well. So again, expecting a bit of a pullback there for Euro Aussie. Again, if we form some resistance there, respect the high, that can end up being a really nice trade to get a nice sell. So yeah, pretty bearish on a Euro Aussie as well. Again, not necessarily bearish in terms of the trend, but just expecting a bit of a pullback for all of those type of currencies there, despite all the bullish momentum that we saw last week. But once we do have a decent pullback, then I do think there'll be some nice longs, especially in pound NZD. That's the one I like the most because it has a very clear-cut level in terms of the longs. And yeah, if you see a decent pullback there, some nice confidence there too. Probably give us a nice setup there to trade. So I'll keep an eye on pound NZD. Again, will we get a pullback this week? Potentially not as well, but just keep an eye. Sometimes I've been guilty of mapping out opportunities, looking at it like, okay, price may not get there, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but then it does get there and I missed the trade because I wasn't focused. So if you're going to map out a trade, keep an eye on that because it could form at any time, really. And you want to make sure you're there to take the trade when it does form. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that for pound NZD. But in terms of my watch list going through the week, like I said, pound CAD is on there for pullback. This one again, probably not going to get a trade. Just judging momentum, we have to pull down pretty hard. But again, keeping a close eye on that. I really like the level there. Retest the resistance there, turn support. And if things go well, could be seeing a really nice swing from that level. I'm very short on, I'm very bearish on USD. So just looking for pullbacks, really. Pound USD looks really good. I like the opportunity here. 1, 2, 3, looking for a fourth test of that area. Again, reversed pretty well from this zone. And now I'm looking for this kind of V-shaped pattern to continue and perhaps a big swing back to the high there as well. So I do still see pound USD giving us more upside, and we've got some nice confidence there around 1.27, which looks good for a long. In terms of Aussie dollar and the USD, kind of both of them similar situation. I'm not too sure if they will set up this week, but I do like the opportunities if we were to break to the upside and then find some longs. Price is kind of respecting a big level right now. I'm looking at turning around, so something like that could interest me. And the USD likewise as well. If you could break to the upside and then some pullbacks would interest me there too. And then some longs as well. Of course, I'm shorting dollar CAD, so I'm gonna hold that position and see what we could do with that. As long as we don't take up the highs there, I'm still bearish, still looking at pushing to the low. Other USD pairs, Euro USD I like as well. Kind of want to see a bit of a deeper pullback for this one into 1.06, but we'll see if we can get that. But yeah, still looking for push into 1.11. In terms of the yen pairs, dollar yen I like a lot. Waiting for a pullback into this area and then some more shorts. I would like price to kind of fall down a little bit steeper, see a bit more downside before having a pullback, but I'm keeping a close eye on that. I mean, a Swiss yen looks good as well, but I need price to break support there first. And then I'll look for some pullbacks or pull away and retest that area. That would be nice. Euro yen I like as well. It's not too far away from entries. I'm looking for another lower high in comparison to these previous highs. And we're not too far away. So perhaps some entries could look good there for a big short. And then, of course, I'm holding some small position on Aussie CHF. So I'll see how that goes. Not much for me to do apart from just keep an eye, trail stops, and let the market do the heavy lifting. But yeah, that's kind of where my situation is, where I'm looking to trade, what I'm looking at, what I'm currently trading. And of course, there are some other couple pairs which I'm keeping an eye on, but unless something changes drastically, I'm probably not going to get trade on those. But if they do, I'll mention them and probably hopefully find some entries there as well. But yeah, guys, that brings us to an end of the stream. If you have found it useful, please be sure to smash the like button. If you found it helpful, useful, it does really help out the streams, helps out the content of the channel as well, growing the channel. So if you can do that, I will really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see more of the content, and of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join in the link in the description. It's also at the top of the chat as well. You can find a lot more information about Elevating Traders, frequent updates there as well. And of course, you can join discussions, share ideas. If you're looking to trade something, you can share with other people, see what they're looking to trade. I'm there as well. I share my ideas too. So if you want to join, check it out. Link in the description and also at the top of the chat. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Have a great Monday. I'm live every day this week as well. Weekday, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you're free, pop in, say hi, come and have a chat with us. But guys, appreciate it. Have a great day. I'll catch you all in the next one.